Hey everybody, welcome back to our neck of the woods. So in this video, hopefully we're gonna be able to finish up the entire front of the house. We need to still do some caulking, some painting, and finish out the last couple boards going down the front of the house on the left-hand side. We have to probably completely rip up the front deck that I'll tell you about. But first, we need to go ahead and start taking care of some pest control. All right, so with your guys' suggestion about the pest control, I already actually had this on film and then accidentally deleted it, but I went ahead and bought this Talstar Professional, and pretty easy to use. You mix up about 1 fluid ounce there per gallon, and I've got a backpack over here that easily holds 4 gallons, so 4 ounces in there, 4 gallons of water, and then just sprayed the entire outside of the house, around the windows, around all the doors and window entries on the inside, because that's something that they're not going to be doing, the company that I'm paying for. We went around the windows and doors that are still not installed yet and really just help protecting. And I even went up into the attic and sprayed up in there, so that way, because I saw carpenter ants up in the garage still. I didn't see them last summer, but I saw them on the outside on that gable end, in between where the garage and the house actually connect. I saw just hundreds of them as I was doing the shingles and everything else up in there. So unlike the professionals, I've gone up there already and sprayed all of that, and again went into the inside, and even some problematic trees where I've seen them around before, like on this guy right here. Went and sprayed the bottom of that tree. So any place where a carpenter ant could get up into the house from, like all of the poles and everything, any problem spots that I saw, I went ahead and hit, and hopefully I just did a better job than what the professionals can do. And since the bottle recommends to use that stuff every month, I could pay probably $70 a year or more that bottle will last, as opposed to the 60 some dollars that I'm paying that company monthly. So I can get more spray on the house for a cheaper cost. It's just me doing it versus them, and I think that's the way that we're actually gonna go. All right, now what am I talking about? I need to rip the entire porch up. Well, when I installed these boards up here, they were absolutely super soaking wet. They were so wet when I was putting the screws in, the stain and water was actually bleeding out of these boards and getting everywhere, staining my hands. It was like I was, drilling into a watermelon, just leaking, getting it everywhere. So now that the boards have been around for a few days, and they've been kind of drying out, even though we are in kind of a wet spring season, all of the boards have shrunk a huge amount. In fact, they've shrunk so much, I mean, we're talking over a 1/2 of an inch probably, or right around a 1/2 of an inch gap in between each board, and I just think that's too much. Should there be a gap in between the boards? Yes. If we went with the camo hidden fastener type system, where they use this like little jig with probably a little 1/8 of an inch over here and an 1/8 of an inch over here metal thing that goes down into between 2 boards, and then your screws go in at a side so you don't have any exposed fasteners, we're talking an 1/8 of an inch there. So I think right now at a 1/2 inch with these boards being dry, that's too much. And ultimately what's going to benefit us is with the amount of distance that we have between each one of these gaps right now. With this board, for example, just sitting right here on the end, if we go ahead and put that one right there, and we've got about 1.5 inches of board left that we needed to cover, which I told you guys I was going to have to rip cut a board down. I was going to have to plane it thinner because there was no board that was going to be that size really. If I was going with just a single board from that one with like 1 inch overhang off of the complete edge, if we actually shrink these boards down and push them all closer to the house, we actually may get lucky that we can just install this board here and then one more board, the exact same kind, that I don't have to stain, I don't have to do anything to, and then I'll get 1 inch overhang. So if I can take an 1/8 of an inch out of each one of these gaps, I will get 2 more boards on the outside of there, and then I don't have to do a darn thing. And again, the gap in here, I'll just keep it around 1/8 of an inch, so there is more room in the future for them to expand and contract. But I don't think they're ever going to be as wet as they were the day we picked them up, just because they were sitting on top of each other. They couldn't breathe at all. The stain was probably wet. They were probably sitting outside before they went undercover on the inside of the place where we got them, and I just think that they're not going to get that wet ever again. Even if it rains under the porch, even if snow comes in here, they can still dry out, because now there's air coming in from bottom and air coming in from the top, and I shouldn't have to worry about that much swelling in the future. So I will probably end up ripping up all of these up one board at a time, pushing them into the wall, and then just moving on down. But today we're just going to go ahead and try and finish out this entire wall over here. We need to do more caulking than I originally done, because the gaps in here I thought paint was going to take care of, but there's just too much paint trying to fill in these gaps. And the reason why there are more gaps in here is because with using the 16-inch on center boards instead of the 4x8 sheets, every time you have 2 boards come together, sometimes you can get a little bit of a crookedness with the batten strips, and then that exposes a gap. So I figure it's just going to be easier to just go ahead and caulk all the way down each side so water cannot get behind the batten strips, and we're just trying to prevent water and keeping it out instead of trying to throw paint in there and actually do that. So I'm going to caulk all this real quick, let it dry for an hour, finish out finally my painting. We need 1 more layer of paint on here, and then this wall will look beautiful. And then I'll go over here, caulk this, and then I don't think I'll be able to get to all that today, but when Erin comes home, if she can help me out with the deck and see how many boards we can get and push, we'll do that. So for right now, let's just get started and see what we can get done. All right, so fixing the boards is kind of not working 100% the way I want it to. Every time I'm pulling a screw out, any wood that grew over top of the screw like this, when the screw comes out, it's splintering and ripping down large chunks. I think I already screwed this one down and threw the wood off the deck, but I mean, I'm seeing pieces like a piece of wood like this big, like just ripping out when the screw comes out. So I'm having to flip the boards upside down. Now, that brings up an important topic. If you look online, you will see people put their boards down with either grain going down or grain going up. What is the right answer? I have no idea, because I was always told that grain goes down. That way the board will form like an arc, and if the board is flat one day, it'll go like this, and then when water hits the deck, it'll run off to the sides. That's the way I was taught ever since I was probably 8 years old and did my first deck with my dad. However, if you literally Google, you will find a 50-50 argument online where people say that if you put the grain going up, the board wants to naturally open itself back up, where it doesn't want to go into a tight spiral back into like a circle of a tree. It's going to just open up and flatten out. Therefore, if you put your grain down, you're going to get the board to flatten out this way instead of cupping, and then you will form a cup. So it's an argument of who's right. Which way is the grain going to cup? Is the board going to want to flay itself open and flatten out, forming a flat top board? Or is it going to want to curl back into its natural curl of grain? And I can already sort of kind of answer that, because this first step right here, for example, see what I mean? The grain is facing down and we've formed a bow here. And if you look up here, the water will naturally shed off on each side as this thing tries to go back into a tree this way, forming like this. And now you can see no water can sit on top of this board because it's going to drain off to the left and it's going to drain off to the right. Now, one could also argue that the reason why that board did that is because it's such a long board and I've only got a screw all the way over here and a screw all the way over here. I don't have a screw in the middle. If I would have had a screw in the middle, that would have helped pinch that front down. So I don't know, it's a good argument. I have no idea besides looking at a board right there. But it looks like I am gonna have to flip all these boards to keep the boards looking pretty. And unfortunately, it's going to be grain up now. So I guess in 5 or 6 years, we'll see who's right. If my grain's up and it wants to curl it up even more, then I'm gonna get some massive water holes on every one of these boards where water's gonna sit. And those people are obviously wrong. So I don't know, but for the look of it now, I've got to put them grain down, or I'm sorry, grain up, and get all these massive cracks put a little bit tighter together with about a 1/8 of an inch span in between each gap. And then, like I said, hopefully if you add up at least an 1/8 of an inch gap that I'm going to be closing up all over here, I'm going to end up with a 3-inch overlay over here, which 3 inches plus that 1.5 right there will give me my 5.5 that I want for a 1-foot overhang. So I don't know, sacrifices, I guess. Leave the deck on for the time being, see what ends up happening in the future, and then worst case scenario, when Aaron and I get money, we can rip all this wood off and we don't have to deal with wood, and we can go to composite, which we originally wanted. But again, that price difference is like $2 grand for this deck right now, or I think more than 10 grand in composite. So I'm gonna just keep back and getting to work, getting all these boards flipped over, push them all closer to the house, and then hopefully I can finish this deck out here sometime soon. Oh, my back. All right, so may not look like much on camera, but shim wise, I started out at 1 and now I'm up to 5, and I'm sure in the next row I'll be up to 6 shims jamming it in there. But at least it's not that bad besides back breaking, because you've got boards on each side of you. So if I need to push the board that way, I can throw 1 shim down in there and get it pushed, or I can put 5 or 6 in on the other side and get it pushed back the other way. So a lot easier than last time with nothing supporting you on each side. So we're down to probably 1/8 of an inch now, again, on each one of these boards in between their cracks. So more than enough for water to go down in. And we got to be at least 1.25 inches already. And we've only done 6 seams so far. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 more to go. So hopefully, I'll have to do that math real quick, but if we've only done 6 and we got 1.25 inches and we got 17 to go, we'll have to see again what math plays out by the time we get over to here. But I got a pretty big feeling that it'll work out perfectly, that I'll be able to get 2 more boards in there now with a little bit of an overhang, and that board there will probably end right at the steps. And then we'll transition these boards out here for the first step that you actually step on. I don't know how that's actually gonna feel. It's probably not gonna feel great because we're 2 foot on center with our stringers here. And this 1.5 inch lumber feels okay, but we're gonna be going from 1.5 inch step down to like 5/8 or whatever those boards are actually made out of. So it may be a little bit more bouncy if you stand right in the middle. But hopefully in this video too, we'll be able to finish up getting the last stringer on. We've got to still do one more stringer up into that corner, going down all the way to this 2-foot overhang down here. So we've got an 8-foot to 12-foot taper, and then figuring out if we're going to do kick plates going back down in there, and then trim and everything else. So I am going to get some dinner now and let my back recover, and then I'll be back out here tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be able to finish this deck up, finish painting that because that's all caulked and dried now, and then see how much time we got tomorrow to go ahead and finish off the front of the house. Hey everybody, welcome back for another day. So today I'm going to be transitioning a little bit. If you can't tell, it's very cloudy. It's rained a couple times, so I don't really want to do any painting just in case there's a strong gust of wind that blows right against that wall. That obviously will ruin our paint job, and I can get to the deck a little bit later, but what I want to focus on now is our front porch sconces showed up, and last night it finally clicked how I want to box these in over here. So got them boxed in. As you can see, I've got a soffit light up there. We're just gonna take LP Smart siding and box in that beam up there. It's gonna go on that side, underneath, down, and then the soffits will run underneath, and that will all be completely boxed in, and it'll look freaking great. But as you can see, since I boxed that in, I was able to put in my soffit light, and then I ran wire up and over. Now I'm ready for another soffit light. Over here, I just got to box in real quick. That's the wire over there ready to connect to that soffit light down underneath on that one down there. And then once all 3 of those are hooked up, we'll have power, and I just need to go inside, and the wires are running down from the ceiling up in there. I need to run them through the ICF wall, connect them to the switch, and I can literally turn them on and we will have freaking power. So I want to hurry up and get that done. As for the outside sconces, I don't know if I have a drill bit long enough that's going to be able to make its way through the foam here, through the concrete, through 2 sides of the ICF, and then get into the inside to where I can get the holes punched out so we can go ahead and get the sconces mounted and stuff. So what do I have to do over here is decide where they're going to go. I have to cut out a square hole so that the sconce has something to mount to, like to a piece of lumber or something. And I've got to make sure that it's going to be on a spot where we'll actually fall on a ICF strip here. So I'll probably drill from the inside out, and then we have to cut out a square in here, and then I probably have to get some LP Smart siding and thicken it up and build it out a couple inches and glue it all together and paint it so it will go in here and kind of be flush with the stone. So a lot to do with electricity wise, but we're changing to electricity just because tonight, hopefully for the first time, we can have all of this porch lit up, and then if I wanted to, I could work out here in the dark. So hang tight, we're gonna run some wire on the inside, and hopefully we can drill that hole. All right, so done with this side. We got the jumper wire going from that light over to this one. We got a wire going from that one all the way over to the other side of the porch. And then the power wire is actually coming in there. So power will feed this one first and then feed that one, and then they're going through all three of those all the way under the garage there. So I just have to connect this one up, the wires to the Wago clips, which make life so much better. And I know it seems Americans are against Wago clips, but Europe's been using them forever, and Europeans will constantly get online and be like, you Yanks, stop using those twist connectors and just use the Wago clips. They work so much better. They're strong, they're tight. You cannot pull them out unless you give a real strong yank and you twist back and forth like 10 times. Then it will pull itself out of the Wago. But it's just so much easier just to cut, snip the wire, pull the sheathing back, and then just jam it into a Wago clip and you're freaking done. So I just need to connect this one real quick, get the light bulbs, and the only thing that I'm not 100% sure on is I did not label my switches, so I may have to take the hot wire and switch it over, as it could be this one for those. And the way we want this is we want the entrance light on first. Obviously that's the most important when you walk in a house. You want the first switch for the entrance. This one is going to be the sconce light that we still need to drill through the ICF and through the gemstone so that we can connect this one up. And then we'll have the outside soffits. And then this last one, Aaron and I still don't know, we're gonna put right up there in the complete center of the ceiling. I don't know if we're gonna do like a fan that drops down or just a big light or chandelier or whatever that we decide. But that one, I still need to get up there and close off the wires because power is going to run to that shortly. And give me a second, let's hook that up and let's turn these on for the first time. All right, moment of truth. Just in case that one up there is the one that's now powered, in case I switch the wires up and this switch is about to turn that on. Obviously, plug off your positives and your loads and your neutrals. And if I'm wrong, we just have to switch the black wire here. This top one over here, we just have to switch it over to this one, and then that should turn on the sconces. And if you guys are new to the channel and have never heard me talk about electricity before, I am using an Eaton breaker, which depending on the model you can get from not all big box stores, but I really do like Eaton. Everything seems to be extremely strong and stout, and the breakers seem awesome. They're extremely expensive, so I think the breakers are better than, say, a Square D. Every single breaker in here, except for the big hot items like the 30 amps, the 100 amp going out to the garage, etc., everything is an arc fault breaker. However, on anything that is a light switch that is in an area of water, so breaker here in the utility room, breakers going to bathrooms, and breakers going to the outsides, those are also on arc fault. So they're dual fault breakers for ground and arc. And that's just, again, because you're in an area of water. Is that 100% needed? I don't know, but I just decided to do it that way. So, and just FYI, since you're running LEDs and lights nowadays, you can seriously run LEDs off of one 15 amp breaker. I think a 15 amp can support like 120 or 180 LEDs because the power is so low. But as you can see, for every one of these multicolored ones, like here, 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 and here, and down there, those are all water sources, and they're all split up just for safety. So there we go, front porch lights, and I got one or two inside lights all on that same breaker on that that 4-gang switch out there. Because obviously we're doing the front porch, we're doing the inside when you first walk in, and then also I believe this light right above the stairs, which that is off, but just to make sure that that's working. Yeah, so breaker's back on, we got power, we're good there. Question is, did we hook up the right switch? We're on, and they are not on. So I think I got the power wire for the wire going up to the fan. So hold on, let me switch this real quick. All right, test number 2. And yes, I did turn the power off to switch those 2 blacks. But if this doesn't work, we're screwed, because the soffits out here are obviously accessible, but that light bulb over there and those 3 over there, those are not accessible. The wires are buried up inside of the hard soffits, which are now painted and nailed in up there, and there's no access holes. The only thing that we can do is drop the light bulb and switch the light bulb out. So fingers crossed this works this time. And yes, they're all on. All right, so this one on here is easy to see. That one over there, actually both of those are easy to see. That's just a little strange when you're looking at this. I painted the black housing, so the like little ribs, if you can see in there, those are all still white, and that one over there is white, so it's real easy to see it. But if you come over here, not to mention that the garage is a little bit lower in elevation than the house over there, these light bulbs look like 10 times smaller because I painted all of the ribs and I painted the outside housing that sits flush up against the soffit. So it's just to cut down on the light, not to mention I didn't want some big massive white thing sticking up on my black soffit. So that is awesome. That is going to be freaking sweet tonight when we turn these on, when it gets dusk and the camera can still kind of pick up the light source it's doing, but it also not be pitch black. So that's going to surprise the crap out of Aaron. And now I think we should get to working on these soffits, but I got a feeling that this drill bit is not going to be long enough to go through all of the ICF, but we'll give it a shot and see if we can punch through. All right, so what do you guys think? It's nothing special. It's the same ones as the garage. It's a bronze kind of dark gold overlay, like plastic housing, so this thing does not have to be grounded to itself. It has to be mounted to the plate, obviously, grounded and stuff, but it's cheap. They're plastic. Don't ever have to worry about them rusting out. But Erin wanted a different size. She wanted a really small, dainty light, and I said that I just don't think that's gonna look good, so I got the big ones. And we've got an 8-foot tall door, plus you're 7.5 inches or 7 1/4 off of the deck. You're 16 feet all the way up to the peak. I just didn't see the point of putting a small, dainty light up here when you've got so much real estate to put up here. So I may not mount them yet tonight, but that looks good, right? If we went any smaller or daintier, the next size down is like 3.5 inches shorter, and I think 2 inches smaller, how big this like disc is here. I just don't think that would have looked good. So I'm gonna record myself actually so I can go back and look at that. But what do you think about right there? And that's a decent size for this door and wall, right? All right, so I got lucky with the concrete bit that I have. Probably a good thing that the first floor is just 4 inches of concrete for the ICF wall, because then you got 5 1/4 of foam and then probably 2 inches of foam over here. So that was enough to cut through absolutely everything to punch out. So now what I'm gonna do is I decided to do a 9-inch wide by 11-inch tall square that we'll make out of LP smart siding, and that will just go right in here as a flat box that we'll cut out the gemstone and set that up against. And then of course drill a hole for the wire to come out, mount a box. And the reason why I went with those sizes is just because 11 inches fits the mount of that properly on its height, but 9 inches right in here. I'm not saying that hole is exactly centered in between 2 ICF support straps, but it'll give me enough room to mount 2 screws or 3, 6, whatever, into an ICF strap, come over here and into an ICF strap, so that LP box will be secured tight onto that ICF, that strapping, and then it won't go anywhere. So I just gotta cut this out real quick, make sure my straps are correct, where I'm gonna put them, and then we should be good on cutting this out, making up a box, and then we might get this mounted. Right, so that's the first layer. Unfortunately, I don't have one big enough to get the thickness built out. So I had to use a 3.5 inch piece of trim and 5.5 inch piece of trim to get me out to 9 inches. And then it's like 5/8 of an inch thick or so. So that one will go in there first. And then I'm gonna take a piece of the actual siding over here, as I can get a 9 by 11 inch piece and there will be no seam in there. And I can cut that out of this stuff and then put that in as one sheet. And then we will caulk the crap out of it first, set these two back in there, caulk it again, and then we'll put the last final piece over top of that. And then we can go ahead and screw through here on that outside piece, and we can screw into here, and that will hit the strapping. And then these will be locked in as 3 pieces, but that outside piece will kind of hold it all pushed flat against the wall there. Then we go ahead and cut out for our box. We can mount the light, paint it up, and as long as all of this is caulked and stuff, and the rubber wall is still kind of sticking these areas in here, that they're kind of like gluing them to the back there, they're really not falling out. And once that caulking goes back in here, this will basically, all 3 of these or 4 of these will be permanently glued onto here, and then they won't come off at all. This caulking, FYI, just does a real nice job for hiding all of the cut gemstone spots where the white foam is now exposed because we cut it. It blends in real nice. I've been using it for all of the screw holes. Once I put a screw in, put a dab of that in, wipe it off, and it just kind of blends it all in with a good color black. All right, so those are glued in. Let's just cut out our 9 by 11 flat piece, put that in there, probably put a bead of caulking in here too, just to kind of like glue this back in. And then I've got my nail holes marked out that we can screw right through here, and we'll hit an ICF stud. Well, it's nowhere near dark enough yet, but I just couldn't wait. I got the first one all done. Unfortunately, I have no more light bulbs, so I had to steal those from the garage. So can't give you a full look when it does get more dusk to what it's actually gonna look like. But that's freaking awesome. That's right where probably someone my height can get to change out the bulbs. Aaron may have to stand on a little step stool, but I think that looks perfect right where it is. It's at a good height. It's equal on the gemstone in between the door and stuff, and they look good. So hopefully before Aaron gets home from work, I might be able to get that second one in, but it's running kind of late, so I probably won't be able to, but that is freaking perfect. And then again, once you're out here on the porch and you got a sconce or a soffit light over there, soffit lights 2 over there, plus the garage ones. The porch should be decently lit up if you wanted to stay out here and the bugs weren't terrible, like on a spring or fall night, and eat dinner or do something out here. And then again, up in here, since we've got power going up in there, that can go to a single chandelier, or we can put in like 4 pot lights, like 2 on that side and 2 on that side, and face them down. So pretty much once we get the ceiling on, there's no limit to what we can't do up in that ceiling. So it just depends on what Aaron wants to do. So I did over trump Aaron, and I got the big ones. I did get one installed, but I think it's perfect. I don't think it's too big to overshadow an 8-foot door. There's still tons of real estate all up on that wall and down along that side right there. So I don't know. I think she'll be happy. We'll see when she gets home. But I'll actually, maybe I'll turn these off and surprise her. Well,
you're lucky.
Why are you mean mugging them?
I'm just trying not to look up in the rain. It's getting me. They might be okay.
They might be okay.
They might be okay.
Might be. I still have to do a second layer of paint on the kick out little LPs, but
it's also hard to tell without, like, that needs to be black over there.
Close one eye and just look this way.
Are they too big?
No! They're
saying
tiny.
That because you don't want to return them.
They're tiny.
They're not tiny.
They barely fill this wall out with anything.
Right.
You need to be. Big deck.
I'm just saying, it's right. Are we doing a chandelier?
That's what you need to decide. That wire's up there, powered, ready to go. Well, no, it's not on a switch. It's not really powered. chandelier, pot lights that shoot down. I mean, those 3 light bulbs are clear to light up all the way back here.
Well, but, I mean, if it's a chandelier, it's really more for looks than anything else. Statement piece, if you will.
But now, are you ready for the piece de resistance? Yes? No?
Yeah. That's nice.
No, that's nice.
It's nice.
That's it? That's all you're gonna say?
It looks good.
Now you probably don't need pot lights out here, because if you have those on, that's gonna shoot all down over there. Plenty of light over in that corner and that one. Your walkway illuminated, which I can't wait till it's nighttime. It's almost nighttime, but hopefully that light there is enough to light up the sidewalk as you're walking down over to there.
Oh, yeah.
Those garage lights, we 100% know that those will do it, but that one should be out hung enough that it should be over there. And then these 2 over here are just for symmetrical looks. There's nothing.
Why didn't you finish the porch today?
Because the lights came and I switched to electronics.
They can stay.
What?
They can stay. The lights can stay.
With them on, you can't even see them.
It'll be different at night. Different at night.
Should we do like everyone else and now leave them on 24/7 and
No.
never turn them off ever?
No. The part that's up here, that's the cedar, the shake shingles, how far does that part come down?
What do you mean? That is,
It's just gonna follow that line, right?
yeah,
Okay.
the bottom of the truss.
Okay. I saw one the other day that like came way down, and it made me nervous that that's what you were thinking. I don't want it to come down.
No, that gable end up in there will get completely closed off, so you can't see light through any one of those, but the ceiling will stop right there, and this will all get...
Because if it came way down, then the chandelier would be pointless. You wouldn't see it from
Hell
anywhere
no.
other than right here.
16 feet up is where that ceiling's gonna stop and where it's gonna punch out. If it's a chandelier, then we gotta do the White House type of thing, and you're gonna have to put a chain over to there, over to there, over to there, and over there, because when that thing swings in the wind, it needs to have something to pull it and stop. But I also wouldn't mind maybe a fan that we could turn on and cool us down if we're sitting out here on a summer's night.
If I can't find the right kind of chandelier, it's gonna have to be a fan. I'm not just gonna put any old thing up there.
Well, there you have it then. We will figure it out, and we will get to painting and finishing off the front over there, moving the deck, finishing the last 2 boards, and then again, now that the yard is soaking wet again, we have to get up with a lift, put on the ceiling, build out the soffit and everything up in there. That gable end I was just talking about. Soffits up and around. The ladder overhangs all the way up in there. There's a ton of work still to do in the front of this porch, or the front of this house, to get it 100% done, but probably won't happen all in this video, but at least we can get the painting, we can get the finishing off
When
that
are the
over there.
gutters going on? Get a shot of that.
Oh yeah, and the gutters. What?
Look at just cascading. Let's get a gutter.
That's 2 roofs merging together.
No, I mean just like when you look down that line of all the water falling all the way down, the whole way.
We'll get them again as soon as I get a lift in here. All right, so I am going to, I don't really know, wrap up today and then figure out if we got dry days tomorrow and the next day and see what we can get done. All right, it's getting dark enough that camera's probably still picking up some decent light, but it's dark out here. But holy crap, is that lit up. I can see the camera is definitely picking all of this up, but yeah, to even my naked eye, it is a tremendous amount of light. So when we get concrete in here to connect like a 4-foot walkway all throughout here, that the concrete will be running, and then as it's going to kind of be running where these boards are going, and then all the way up over to the front of the porch, you'll have absolutely no problem seeing this walkway lit up to where you won't hit anything. And the house looks nice and pretty because it's lit up. The only thing that we'll have to wait till it's pitch black is I don't think the front of the stairs are going to be that lit up, even though you can see some light on that step right there. So actually, never mind. You should actually get some decent light that maybe not the full step is lit up, because you can see a strong, sharp line right there. But you do have light either coming from that guy or the sconces that you can be hitting that, and your stairs are going to be lit up. And then, as you can see, the whole front porch is freaking lit up. So I really am glad that I put an extra soffit light over in there, and definitely another one over here. So this all area of the deck is lit up. And then again, just to keep the theme going, it's nice that this will be lit up and the house will be lit up with there. And yes, I know that light bulb is not centered above that window. It was never meant to be. It's mostly centered in between, kind of right there and at the edge of the house, and I didn't want that light to always be shining in and lighting up the closet in there, so that's why I moved that a little bit off to the side. I gotta say though, that is something. That looks freaking awesome. Now we'll just have to wait on a night where we can light all of this up, all of the garage area, since I stole the light bulbs out of that one and that one for the front sconces. But you'll see that this entire area all around the perimeter of the house, that will all 100% be lit up one day.